You got to upgrade your G8 client to the latest version. If you don't do that, then the attackers are going to be able to trick your wallet into basically signing transactions that are not valid.
Stan, I hear today on ThreatTraq you have a story about Ethereum.
Yes. I was reading this article at bitcoinmagazine.com, and it's about some research that people did at Boston University, where they kind of theorized a possible attack vector against Ethereum. And specifically, they were looking for vulnerabilities in GETH, which is like, I guess, a client that you use for mining Ethereum cryptocurrency. There's an Eclipse vulnerability in the older version of this client, which is what they discovered. So the reason it's called eclipsing vulnerability is if you can control who you connect to in the peer-to-peer network, you can eclipse the victim, the one target, from the rest of the peer-to-peer network. The researchers discovered that it's actually possible to saturate the connections to a target victim to all come from an adversary. It's kind of like a man in the middle against a peer-to-peer network. It's like you're somehow able to direct all of the connections. Instead of going all over the place, it's going to go to just the computers associated with the backend.
So it's like bottlenecking a peer-to-peer network so that people can only talk to or through ones that you control?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. So basically, let's say when you get booted up, when you boot up for the first time, you don't have any connections open. So if I knew your IP address, I could connect to you and saturate all of the maximum connections that the client would establish, which is like 13. So basically your whole connection to the rest of this peer-to-peer blockchain technology in Ethereum is through computers I control.
Okay.
And what they were able to discover is that you can create as many unique like IDs. So basically you can create like an unlimited number of nodes.
From the same machine.
Computer,
I think
from
I read
the same
that
IP
part,
address,
yeah.
yes. So you don't need, like in Bitcoin, it's not like that. You need to come in from like hundreds of IP addresses.
Right.
But here you're able to just maybe have one or two and saturate all these 13 connections.
It was interesting to me to see that you could have all of the connections from some client taken really by the same actor. And so they don't really talk to the network, they always talk to you. And then you can kind of hide what you tell them and what you tell everybody else.
The thing that you could do with an eclipsing attack, now that you control basically the view that this person has, is you can trick them. You can trick the person and say, hey, you think that you're spending 5 coins. What you're gonna actually do is, on the real blockchain, spend 7. But you think you spent 5. It's like kind of double spend. It's a double spending problem. And the other part of it is they worked with the developers of Ethereum to explain this problem to them. And I think one of the biggest success stories is the first sentence of the story, which is working with the Ethereum developers through their bug bounty program was very smooth. Once the researchers found something that they thought was a problem, they had somebody to work with. They had somebody to report their findings to. And then they were able to fix it and release an update.
Very interesting research work on how you could make some abuses of these emerging platforms that we think of as being very trustworthy. You can't change the past, but there are tricks that people could pull off to abuse some of the features.
If you're involved with Ethereum at all, this is the time to patch. You should be patching GETH immediately, because a lot of these fixes have been put in place. Maybe go out and read the paper if you're technically inclined and you really want to understand exactly what this means. And if you're someone who has that privileged place of designing new blockchain implementations, this is definitely a place to study and understand what these techniques are so you can defend against them.